Face the demons, put them to the test.
What is up, everybody? We are in season 4, episode 1. Can you believe we've gone this long?
Damn, longer than the other podcasts I've been part of, almost. Almost. There's only been one other podcast I've been a part of that's gone 5 seasons.
So we've had a little bit of a breather, a little break. Oh yeah, by the way, I guess we've got to do the tagline.
Yeah. Yes. What is that tagline?
The tagline, it is 8 p.m., actually 8:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do you know where your cryptids are?
Yeah, see? He's back there.
Mine's back there.
That's right. Hey,
And our
Jerry,
number
nice
one
to see you.
fan, hello, that's him, man.
Missed you 2 weeks ago. I had to think for a quick sec.
So it has been a busy couple weeks for us. We've gone out squatching. We had rocks thrown at us after we asserted our dominance. Obviously, we failed in that matter because rocks were thrown at the truck.
Right, man. No, at least no damage on the truck.
At least no damage. It was off the bumper. So we are going to start our month-long International Cryptids and Ghosts Month before we get back to the glorious US of A in July. And straight up the top, we're going to cover the Beast of Gevaudan, one of my favorites. Now, well, besides Mothman, the Beast of Gevaudan would be a good close tie to first. Now, the interesting thing about the Beast of Gevaudan is you really can't call it a cryptid because how many witnesses there were and that have gone on record. Now, if you go over to what is Gevaudan was a province and it is no longer a province. We'll go over that a little bit, but around the area of where all the killings took place, there are a lot of statues, there are monuments. This is a realistic manner. They full on accept the fact that this thing was there. Now, last time we were on the final episode of season 3, we talked about the Shunko Wakian. You don't have those notes in front of me. And how it looked, and we were comparing it to the Beast of Gevaudan. Very large, very hunched back like a hyena, longer front legs, shorter back legs, and tended to go after everything. We're going to start out tonight with an article from the Smithsonian Magazine by Lorraine Bozanat from June 26, 2017. It is entitled, When the Beast of Gevaudan Terrorized France, tale of this monster grew in the telling, but the carnage still left nearly 100 dead. So, I mean, you got a high body count that things happen. So because it is all in French, I'm going to butcher everything.
There we go. I wonder how long it's going to take you.
Oh, we are already going to get into this. So, according to the article, the monster's first victim was Jeanne Boulette, a 14-year-old girl watching her sheep. Her death was followed by others, almost exclusively women and children. Throughout 1764, so 1764, the brutal attacks, victims with their throats torn out or heads gnawed off, riveted France. So, I mean, we're talking, they're going right for the jugular. And this would be more of the things that cougars would do. Or coyotes, or hyenas.
Yeah.
It's a vital area to go for the throat. The violence was so shocking, news of it traveled from the countryside all the way to the royal palace in Versailles. What was this Beast of Gevaudan, and who could stop its reign of terror? Gevaudan, a region in southern France in modern-day Lozère, Lozere, Lozère, I am probably brutalizing the hell out of it. Was just as mysterious as its monster. It had the reputation for being a remote, isolated backwater where the forces of nature had not been fully tamed, where the forests were indeed enchanted, says J.M. Smith, a historian and author of The Monsters of Gevaudan, The Making of a Beast. Quote, it's fascinating, it's powerful, it's scary, it's sublime, unquote. You know what?
Movie in the making.
All right. We're doing French. I think it's time for a mead. It's called Psychopomp Sour Cherry Mead from Havoc Mead. And the one from Havoc can.
Sorry, I'm staying with the original.
Everybody skull. It's been a week. I know it's rare. Doc's drinking on camera. Wow. I'm doing French tonight. I probably, if I get a little alcohol in my system, I'll be able to just like slur those words a little bit better and make it sound French.
Yeah, I'm getting a little hungry. How about some French toast? Oh,
but I'm bunch. All right. It was the perfect place for a grim-like fairy tale starring a possibly supernatural character. But for villagers under attack, reality was more brutal than any book. In 3 years' time, the beast racked up nearly 300 victims, and its legacy lasted long beyond the 18th century. So we're talking a lot of victims. So it's just not just it was Bigfoot, it was a dog man, it was, it's 300 victims injured, 100 over dead.
Yeah, but most of the victims were what? Women and children?
Women and children.
Why? Just because they were the most vulnerable?
They worked the fields the most.
Okay.
So you've got these women and children that are out in the fields tending to the flocks because all the men are off fighting or doing whatever they got to do. So you've got women and children tending to flocks out in the fields that are very apt to be attacked. So, here's a little bit more information from the article that kind of paints a picture of Gevaudan. France of 1764 was in miserable condition. The 7 Years' War had ended a year earlier, with France suffering numerous defeats at the hands of the British and the Prussians. So we've got a lot of defeats, we've got a lot of dead. So there's where your men probably are, is a large majority of them have gone to war and have not made it back. The king, Louis XV, had also lost the bulk of his country's overseas empire, including Canada. The economic situation was dire and the country was in disarray. So we've got a country on the downfall. It's got its ass kicked all over the place.
Economics are in the toilet.
Everything is doing not so great.
Right.
Despite the carnage the beast wrought, it served as a perfect foe for a nation with something to prove, a country in need of a cause to rally around. So, and we can lean into that one in the skeptic's corner, but now you've got something bigger for the country to revolve around instead of, hey, we just got our asses handed to us and we lost a bunch of stuff. Let's go fight a giant wolf. So we'll flag that and we'll bring that into skeptic's corner.
That would be perfect for skeptic's corner.
We're gonna footnote that one. The beast and his victims might have gone virtually unnoticed, if not for a burgeoning press, because political news was mostly censored by the king. Newspapers had to turn to other sources of information and entertainment to bolster subscriptions. Francois Molinas, creator and editor of the, Correo d'Avignon, used a new type of reporting called Festivals. Sure, why not? Festivals. Stories of everyday instances in small villages similar to today's true crime to tell the tale. So we could probably footnote this one back over onto Skeptic's Corner of is the guy making it up. His reportage in the particular transformed the beast from a backwater calamity into a national affair. As the head count rose in
1764.
70, hang on. I screwed up. Got a drink.
Oh.
1764, local officials and aristocrats took action. Oh God, here's another French name. Etienne Lafont, a regional government delegate, and Captain Jean-Baptiste Dumal, a leader of the local infantry, organized the first concentrated attack. At one point, the number of volunteers rose to 30,000 men. Dumal organized the men along military models, left poison bait, and even had some soldiers dressed as peasant women in hopes of attracting the beast. A reward for killing the beast eventually equaled a year's salary for working men, writes historian Jean-Marc Massiel in La Bite du Gevaudan. For men like Dumal, the hunt was a way to redeem his honor after the war. Quote, there were many signs of wounded masculinity among the lead huntsmen, unquote, this says, especially Dumal. Quote, he had a high, sensitive regard for his own honor and had some bad experiences in the war and looked at this challenge of defeating the beast as a way to redeem himself, unquote.
Okay, whatever.
We'll put that in Skeptic's Corner too, because now you got another little faction of a guy who really messed up. Doesn't say what he did in the war, but he failed miserably and he feels dishonored. So, yeah, we'll save that. But note that, put it down in Skeptic's Corner. The press also created popular stories out of the women and children who survived attacks by defending themselves, emphasizing the virtue of the peasantry. Take Jacques Potafeu. The young boy and a group of children were out in the meadow with a herd of cattle on January 12, 1765, when the beast attacked. Working together, they managed to scare it off with their picks. Potau's courage was so admired that Louis XV paid a reward to all the children and had the boy educated at the king's personal expense. And then there's Marie Jeanne Vallée, who was attacked on August 11th, 1765, and managed to defend herself and wound the beast, earning herself the title Maiden of Gevaudan. Today, a statue stands in her honor in the village of Anvers in southern France.
They should have put a picture of that statue in this.
Well, before the laptop died, I had that as I could pull that up and put it there, and we're working on that where we can actually put up pictures of cool things besides just looking at our ugly mugs. That might be next year after the ghost walks. I'll have to invest in something that's better. Individuals may have had some success defending themselves, but official hunters had none. In February 1765, the Enivals? Sure, we're going without. Probably butchering it, but oh well. A father-son hunting duo from Normandy announced they would travel to Gevaudan to eliminate the beast. Jean-Charles, the father, boasted he'd already killed 1,200 wolves. Relevant information, assuming the predator was, in fact, a wolf, but no one was sure of that. It was much bigger than a wolf, wrote Lafont in an early report. It has a snout somewhat like a calf's and very long hair, which would seem to indicate a hyena. Unquote. Dumal described the animals even more fantastically. In his words, it had a, quote, breast as wide as a horse, a body as long as a leopard's, and fur that was red with a black stripe. Dumal concluded, quote, you will undoubtedly think, like I do, that this is a monster hybrid, the father of which is a lion. What his mother has remains to be seen, unquote. Other witnesses claim the beast had supernatural abilities. It could walk on its hind feet, and its hide could repel bullets, and had fire in its eyes, and it came back from the dead more than once, and had amazing leaping ability, Smith says. Which kind of sounds like the giant wolf from Skinwalker Ranch that the farmer had encountered. Maybe that should be another bit for another show.
All right.
It could repel bullets, fire in its eyes, and came back from the dead. Great leaping ability. Whatever its origins or appearance, the hunters were determined to score their prize. But again and again, they failed. The Emivalos eventually gave up, at which point the king sent his own gun bearer and bodyguard, Francois Anton. Along with his son and a detachment of men, Anton traipsed around the forested countryside in search of the beast. At last, in September 1765, he shot and killed a large wolf. He had the body sent to the court of Versailles, received a reward from King Louis XV, and accepted the villagers' gratitude. 2 brief months later, the attacks continued. So you got a guy who's big at everything, kills something, gets a reward,
yeah,
and then 2 months later, it starts back up.
Yeah.
And then here's where it gets crazy. Okay, for another 18 months, something continued to stalk the villagers of Gevaudan with a reported 30 to 35 fatalities in that period of 18 months. The king, believing the beast had already been slain, offered little aid. With no assistance coming from outside the region, locals took matters in their own hands, an option that may have been wiser from the beginning, since the previous hunters were unfamiliar with the landscape and had trouble communicating with locals. Local farmer Jean Chastel had been involved in a previous hunt, but was thrown in prison by Anton for leading his men into a bog. His past crimes turned to bygones when he managed at last to bring the creature down with a bullet on June 19th, 1767. The end of the savagery did little to answer the burning question, what was the beast? It's been up for debate ever since. Historians and scientists have suggested it was an escaped lion, prehistoric holdover, or even that Chastel himself trained an animal to attack people and deflect attention from other crimes. Smith thinks the answer is more mundane. Quote, the best and most likely explanation is Gevaudan had a serious wolf infestation, Smith says. In other words, there may not have been one single beast of Gevaudan, but many large wolves attacking the isolated communities.
That makes sense.
Wolf attacks occurred throughout France during this period. Modessu estimates that wolf attacks caused as many as 9,000 fatalities across the country between the end of the 16th century and the beginning of the 19th century. What made the attacks in Gevaudan memorable, even to their day, were their violence and higher than average fatalities, as well as the press's ability to turn them into a riveting national story. Even 250 years since the beast of Gevaudan last stalked the forests and fields of southern France, its fairy tale-like legacy looms large. Now, what that article doesn't say is the fact that you had clergymen going on record, having seen it, that it was the size of a small cow. So we're talking something huge. If we hop over to get a Wikipedia.
Ooh, wiki.
Wiki. Really, guys, this is the first drink, and I just cracked it open. I'm not going to. All right, so Wikipedia says, We're in the Margeride Mountains of south central France between 1764 and 1767. The attacks, which covered areas spanning 90 by 80 kilometers or 56 by 50 miles, were said to have been committed by one or more beasts of a tawny russet color with dark streak stripes and a dark stripe down its back. Tail longer than a wolf, ending in a tuft, according to contemporary eyewitnesses. It was said to attack with formidable teeth and claws and appeared to be the size of a calf or cow and seemed to fly or bound across fields towards its victims. These descriptions from the period could identify the beast as a young lion, a striped hyena, a large wolf, a large dog, or a wolf dog.
Yeah.
Its identity is still the subject of debate and remains unresolved to this day. The Kingdom of France used a considerable amount of wealth and manpower to hunt the animals responsible, including the sources of several nobles, soldiers, royal huntsmen, and civilians. The number of victims differs from the source. A 1987 study estimated there had been 210 attacks, resulting in 113 deaths and 49 injuries. 98 of the victims killed were partly human. Other sources claim the animal or animals killed between 60 and 100 adults and children and injured more than 30. Victims were often killed by having their throats torn out. Several animals identified as the beast were reportedly killed before the attacks finally stopped. The beast of Gevaudan committed its first recorded attack in the early summer of 1764. A young woman who was tending cattle in the Mercure forest near the town of Langolin. I know I butchered that. In the eastern part of Gevaudan saw a beast, quote, like a wolf, yet not a wolf, unquote, come at her. However, the bulls in the herd charged the beast, keeping at bay. They then drove it off after it attacked a second time. Shortly afterwards, on June 30th, the beast's first official victim was recorded. Then that's 14-year-old Jeanne Bollet. On July 1st, this victim was buried without sacraments because she could not confess before her death. However, the burial certificate specifies that she was killed by the ferocious beast, la bête in French, which suggests that she is not the first victim, but only the first declared. A second victim was reported on August 8th, age 14. She lived in the hamlet of, Masmegin in the parish of Lorette. Gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, gotta quit picking things that I can't pronounce. These two victims were killed in the Allier Valley. From the end of August and in September, other victims recorded in the Mercure forest or its surroundings. Throughout the remainder of 1764, more attacks were reported in the region very soon. Terror gripped the populace because the beast was reportedly preying on lone men, women, and children as they tended livestock in the forest around Gevaudan. Reports note that the beast seemed to only target the victim's head and neck regions. Now, if we take that one, let's bring it down a little bit. What other animals do we know of that only attack the head and neck region? Cougar. Mm-hmm. Well, for us, it would be cougar.
Right.
Because they would be more of a stalking animal. Because, cougars want to try to stalk up on you and then jump on you and get you by the neck and just whip you around, break your neck, and then they...
Try the quick kill.
Yeah, quick kill. So whatever the beast of Gevaudan seems to be wanting to go for that quick kill. Some witnesses claim the beast has supernatural abilities. They believe it can walk the time like humans. They believe the beast performed outstanding leaps. They also believe the beast could repel bullets and come back from the dead after being struck and wounded. Now, one idea that I had that I wanted to look at with that one was the firepower of said day. In the 1760s. I believe that was the muskets, I think.
Yeah, no clue.
But I mean, like, when we were using the muskets way back yonder, not everything was a kill shot. It's just a ball that's being shot at you, and it doesn't go all the way through. So if we got an animal that's got a thicker fur and thicker hide, then it's not going to be
Watch it bounce off.
No, I mean
No. Yeah.
I mean it goes through a human. It's taking cloth in. And it's not going real deep, and it's not always a kill shot.
For sure.
So, some contemporary accounts suggest the creature was seen with another such animal, while others report that the beast was accompanied by its young. On December 31st, the bishop of Mendig, Gabriel Fouet de Chaussier-Bapierre.
Just call him the Count of Gevaudan.
The Count of Gevaudan called for prayers and penance. This appeal had remained in history under the name of Commandment of the Bishop of Mende. All the priests of the diocese had to announce that it was their faithful. In this long text, the bishop described the beast as a scourge sent to God, by God, to punish men for their sins. He quoted St. Augustine, but in evoking the justice of God as well as the Bible and the divine threats uttered by Moses. I am the teeth of wild beasts against them. Following this commandment, prayers of 40 hours devotion were observed for 3 consecutive Sundays. In spite of the divine pleas, the massacre continued on January 12, 1765. Jacques Porter and 7 children from the village were attacked by the beast. They drove it off. King gave him a bunch of money and say, all right, good job, guys. The royal intervention, Captain Dumal, the Clement Prince Dragoons. So, I mean, there's a little bit more about what he was. He's a dragoon, a very, military unit, kind of legendary. Several occasions he almost shot the beast, but was hampered by the incompetence of his guards. When the village of La Mazou was not present and ready as the beast crossed the Tourliel River, Dumal became frustrated. Now, I know one thing that Now, the one wolf that, we're going to scroll down. After the report, Francois Antoine's son loaded the animal into his horse and set off for birth. So they killed a wolf that was abnormally large. At St. Flour, he showed it to Monsieur de Montluc in Clementfeld. He had it stuffed. So they stuffed this large wolf. He left Clement on September 27th and arrived at Versailles on October 1st. Where he was hailed as a hero. The beast was exhibited in the Jardins du Roi. Meanwhile, Francois Antoine and his gamekeeper stayed in the Avoyam woods to chase down the beast's female partner and her 2 grown pups, which had been reported near the Abbey of Chavez. So they've taken the body, they've taken it to the king. They said, this is it. We're going to go kill the female and the pups. So, I mean, now we got more reports of things being on there. On October 19th, Anton succeeded in killing the female wolf and a pup, which seemed already larger than its mother. After the examination of the pup, it appeared to have a double set of dew claws, a hereditary malformation found in the Bas Rouge or Bassouen dog breed. The other pup was shot and hit and was believed to have died while retreating between the blocks. Anton returned to Paris on November 3rd and received a large sum of money, over 9,000 livres, as well as fame, titles, and awards.
Shit.
So, I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on here. And final attacks, according to Wikipedia. The month of November passed without any attack being reported. The populace dared to believe that Anton had indeed killed the beast. In a letter from November 26th, the syndic and Antoine Lafont, we're going with that, Firm to the intendant of Languedoc. Languedoc. All right. Next time we do anything that's from France, I think we need to have somebody that speaks French and could pull this off as like
Right.
a special guest host and be like, "Here, you run it." Luckily,
Yeah.
I don't have any French heritage in me, so we're good.
Not at all.
We know, okay, quote, we no longer hear of anything relating to the beast, unquote. But quickly, rumors spread of new attacks towards Sagez and Lothiers. On December 2nd, the two boys, aged 6 and 12, were further attacked, suggesting that the beast was still alive. The beast tried to capture the youngest, but was successfully fought off by the older boys. Soon after, successful attacks followed, and some of the shepherds witnessed that the beast showed no fear around cattle at all. A dozen more deaths were reported to have followed near La Spéciale Sainte-Marie. Until the beginning, Tammy says, it's fun to listen to you try. Thank you. Somebody has faith that I'm going to just stumble through all this.
Are you to me, man?
Hey, somebody's got to take the hit. A dozen more deaths were reported to have followed the La Spéciale Sainte-Marie. Until the beginning of 1766, these facts remained episodic, and no one knew if they were attributable to the beast or the wolves. However, in a letter he wrote to the intendant of Avignon in January 1st, 1766, Monsieur de Montlac seemed convinced that the beast had indeed reappeared. The intendant alerted the king, but Louis XV no longer wanted to hear about the ferocious beast now that his agabist battle had overcome. From then on, newspapers no longer reported any attacks that occurred in Gevaudan or in the south of Avignon. In March 1766, the attacks multiplied. The local gentlemen knew that their salvation would not come from the court. March 24th, particular estates in Gevaudan were held at Maveluge. Etienne Lafont and the young Marquis de Safford, a local nobleman, recommended poisoning the corpses of dogs and carrying them to the usual passages of the beast. But the latter did not seem to cover as much ground as before. It settled in the Trois-Monts region, Mont Montchel, Mont Grams, and Mont Chevet, about 15 kilometers, 9.3 miles apart. The measures taken proved ineffective. Small hunts were organized in vain. The beast continues to attack throughout 1766, but its mode of operation had changed. It seemed less enterprising and much more cautious, as revealed by various correspondents, including that of Canonolea, parish priest of Lochers, to Etienne Lafont. At the beginning of 1767, the attacks experienced a slight lull, but they resumed in spring. The populace no longer knew what to do except pray. Pilgrimages were increasing, mainly to Notre Dame de Balou and Notre Dame Estors. God.
Yeah.
June 18th, it was reported that the Marquis d'Arceau, that the beast had not been seen the day before in the parishes of Nozoy-Rallies and the Sedges. In the latter, the village of Les Benels, it allegedly killed 19-year-old Shannon Bastide. And then we've got Jean Chastel, who actually has a statue up marking his achievements of killing another wolf, even though the main wolf went to the king, apparently. Which, by the way, that taxidermy, why we don't have that anymore in any history. The taxidermy on the first wolf that went to the king was done poorly, and it started to rot. And the king had it thrown out.
Oh.
So that, I mean, if we look at it in a historical context, if we had the body, like we've got the Shunkawota Wedida, the body that they have on display, they did a DNA test and they came back a little inconclusive. But if we had the beast, la bête, if we had the body still, they can go and they can do a DNA test and match it against other markers and be like, hey, everybody, it's just a giant wolf. Hey, everybody, it's a hyena.
A wolf hybrid.
It's a hybrid, but no, we threw it out because it was stinking because they didn't do a good enough job.
And that statue they erected that in 1995?
Yep. They erected his statue in 1995.
Damn,
In the village of La Bestiale Sainte-Marie.
Yeah, whatever.
So the killing of the creature that eventually marked the end of the attacks is credited to a local hunter named Jean Chastel, who shot it on the slopes of Mount Mouchel, now called, La Tournée des Avios, during a hunt organized by the Marquise d'Aptier in June 19th, 1767. In 1889, Abbot Pochel told the identifying oral tradition which said that the pious hero Chastel got the creature after reciting his prayers. The historical accounts do not report any such thing. The story about the large caliber bullets homemade with Virgin Mary metals is a literary invention by the French writer Henri Pomont. So Jean Chastel, as the story goes, he knelt down in prayer. He saw the beast across the way. He had melted down all these medallions of the Virgin Mary, and he loaded his gun with these silver medallion bullets, and he took shots with the prayer, and it killed the beast with the silver, which is probably where a lot of the werewolf mythology comes from, of using silver to kill werewolves. There you go.
Oh my God! Really?
Really? There we go. We've done we worked werewolves in here somewhere.
Damn it! Yeah. Okay.
So they kill this thing again. The body was then.
I find it hard, honestly. I find it hard to believe that a prayer and then melted down metals and stuff and take a shot. Come on. Sorry, a little early on the skeptic's corner, but yeah, just an opinion.
So they killed the second one, the second big large beast.
Right.
The body was loaded onto a horse and brought to Chateau des Basques of the Marquise d'Aptier, located in Chalamax, where it was necrosized by Dr. Boulanga, a surgeon at Saint-Gaz. Dr. Bolanga's post-mortem report was transcribed by the Royal Notary Roche Etienne Marin and is known as the Marin Report on the beast. The results of the examination were consistent with a large wolf or wolf dog, but the remains were incomplete by the time Boulanger acquired them, precluding conclusive identification of the animal. The beast was then exhibited at the chateau where the Marquise d'Aptier lavishly received crowds which thronged to see the remains. Numerous testimonies from the victims of the attacks enriched the Marin report. The beast stayed in Basque for a dozen days. The Marquis instructed a servant named Gilbert to take the beast to Versailles to show it to the king. According to the oral tradition reported by Abbot Pochel and repeated by several authors, Jean Chastel would have been on the trip, but Louis XV would have disdainfully rejected him because the remains, summarily stuffed by an apothecary who had contented himself with replacing the entrails with straw, gave off a stench that made the heat even more unbearable. However, this version is called into question by the testimony of a servant of the Marquis collected in 1809. And then we're going to quote from him, and we're going to butcher the French language some more.
Oh, hell.
Okay, why not? Quote, Gilbert finally arrived in Paris, went to stay at the Hotel Particulier of Mr. de la Rochefoucauld, to whom he had at the same time given a letter to which Mr. The Marquis begged the Lord to inform the king of the happy deliverance of the monster. The king was at Champagne at the time, and according to the news he was told, he gave orders to Mr. de Buffon to visit and examine this animal. This naturalist, in spite of the palidation to which the worms had reduced it, and fall of all the hairs following the heat of the end of July and the beginning of August, in spite of the still bad odor which it gave off, after a serious examination, judged that it was only a big wolf. As soon as Mr. de Buffon had made the examination of the animal, Gilbert hastened to have it buried because its great stench, and he said he had been so inconvenienced by it by the time he was sick and bedridden for more than 15 days in Paris. He suffered from this disease for more than 6 years, and he even attributed this to the bad smell that he breathed for so long, the poor health that he had always been burdened with since that time, unquote. So nobody did a great job on taxiderming anything. This thing was rotting on the way to Paris in the summer. We need a time machine. We need to go back, and we need to do our own research on it and be like, hey, guys, ice the son bitch. Let's not let it rot in the sun. Let's put it on ice. Come on. And they probably look at us and wonder what the hell's going on.
They're saying ice? What's ice?
My version of French, we'd be thrown up, locked up, probably killed right on the spot. They'd be like, what'd you say about my mother? Take us to the Marquis. The Marquis. Bah! Shut up. It emerges that Jean Chastel did not accompany Gilbert to Paris. Likewise, the servant never presented the remains of the beast to the court Louis XV. Finally, Buffon left no document on this subject, neither kept in the collection of the Jardin de Roy in Paris, nor buried in Marly or Versailles. The beast was probably buried in the garden of the private mansion of Louis Alexandre de la Rochefoucauld, a gentleman sharing a distant common ancestors with the Marquis. The Hotel of Les Fauconnets, located in the Rue de Seine, would be demolished in 1852, so we don't even have a landmark anymore that we can go back and dig it up and look for anything. The attacks in Gevaudan ceased definitively. The authorities of the diocese granted rewards to the hunters. Jean Chastel received 72 livres on September 9th. Jean-Treize Tarossi received 78 livres on September 17th. The hunters who had accompanied them shared 312 on May 3rd, 1768. Let's scroll down a little bit for those of you who follow. I wanted to be a taxidermist. Tammy, guess what? We're going to put you in the time machine. We're going to send you back. Take care of the beast, both of them, so that maybe we can, you want to be a taxidermist, we're going to send you back with all the knowledge you have here about that, and then we can do this the right way, and then we can just go, look, everybody, it's the beast of Gevaudan. It's right there. It's cool. It's impressive, and we know what it is.
It's a wolf.
So on behavior, several tales spoke of the beast in vulnerability, indeed, hit by bullets of reputedly skilled shooters. The beast would have risen each time. Testimonies attributed to the beast of a gift of invisibility in a very short interval of time. It would have been seen in places several kilometers away. However, in many cases, these distances could be covered by a single animal. Two of the beast's most singular traits were its familiarity and its boldness. At least until Francois Antoine's departure, it did not seem to fear man. When it encountered resistance, it would move 40 paces away, sometimes sitting on its hindquarters for a few moments, and if not pursued, would come back to the charge. And it would move away at a walk or a short trot. Several victims were attacked in the middle of the villages, and most of the testimonies related to attacks during the day. So it's daylight hours. Finally, by showing a relentlessness that did not always include Seemed dictated by hunger, the beast showed an astonishing aggressiveness. In addition, its unusual agility allowed it to jump over walls that a dog could not cross. So, I mean, it's jumping over things, and a lot of animals out there. I got a big jump. The Marin report, we'll cover that one.
If you know how to speak and read the French, they've got the examination report. That's what I'm thinking.
It's in English.
Is it in English?
Well, I'm not going to read the whole report. I'm just going to read the summary of the report. Yeah, if I try and read the real report, we're going to just die. My head's just going to...
That's what I'm saying. The report, if you know how to speak it, it looks like it's in,
That's what I'm just gonna read the summary on it because why not? June 20th, 1767, the day after the death of the animal killed by Jean Chastel, the royal notary Marin wrote an autopsy report at the Marquis d'Arcel Chateau de Basca in Chevreuse, preserved in the French National Archives. So this has been preserved in the archives. This memoir was discovered in 1952 by the historian Elise Seguin. It provides precise information on this animal, which seemed to us to be a wolf, but extraordinarily and very different by its figure and its proportions from the wolves that one sees in this country. The report also details the dental formula. The upper jaw consisted of 20 teeth, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 12 molars. The lower jaw has 22, 6 incisors, 2 canines, and 14 molars. This likely points to a canid. The document also describes the mouth wounds and scars. Finally, it includes the testimonies of several people who recognized it. So, according to modern scholars, public hysteria at the time of the attack attributed the widespread myth that supernatural beasts roamed Gevaudan, but deaths attributed to the beasts were more likely to have been the work of a number of wolves or pack of wolves. So, I mean, they're kind of discussing a lot of things. I know there was another report of, and it's not on the Wikipedia page, but since we're getting close to Skeptic's Corner, they had witnessed the beast. This is also where werewolves come from. They had, one of the many legends of a werewolf. So the beast had to attack a small child, and some of the hunters were chasing it. So the small child's already dead. They're chasing the wolf. They come across. They chase it off. The wolf kind of comes around the corner. And as the guards come around, the hunters come around to kill it, they find a homeless man wearing a wolf skin as like a jacket and with the head up on top. So they ended up taking that man into custody, thinking that he was the devil and had shapeshifted. And the people that caught him shapeshifting back from the beast into a man, which is kind of a skinwalker thing more than anything else. But it could have honestly been just a guy. That might be a whole story for something else. But a lot of movies were brought off of this one. Brotherhood of the Wolf, 2001. One of my personal favorite movies out there. It's very good. But the beast was a lion. Spoilers. Apparently Netflix will make a feature film produced by Blumhouse. The Curse, a 22 movie set in the late 19th century France, features the beast as a gypsy curse placed on the French village. In 2022, German power metal band Powerwolf released a single titled Bête de Gevaudan. You have to look that up. Yeah. So we're at the 10-minute mark, which we know what that means.
That's a skeptic corner. Yes.
Skeptic corner. So let's go over what we know. So we've got a war. We got a big war. Everyone's trying to recover from the war.
Exactly.
A lot of people have died in the war. country's tanking. Suddenly, we have something for the country to focus on. Timing?
Perfect timing. Come on.
Imperfect timing. And along with that one, then we also have the fact they're doing newspapers, all these articles and stuff that they're putting out there. So, as a skeptic looking at this one going, okay, well, you can't discuss the king, you can't discuss badmouth the country, but you need something for your articles to get people to read your paper.
That's just like today's, in today's society. If you don't got certain things, you got to make something up just so you have, readers.
So if we're looking at this at a whole skeptical portion, each little bit can actually connect itself in a skeptical mind that we could downplay. Country's in shambles. We need something to talk about besides the king and no money and everything is going to crap. So you go to newspapers, make up something.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've invented a giant wolf. It's out there. It's attacking. It's killing. Enough people get mad and everything. So is it a wolf? Maybe it's just a pack of wolves that was out killing people in that province because we've had a lot of wolf attacks. But now everyone's up in arms. Oh my God, Your Majesty, you got to help us out. So he sends his hunters in. So now the hunters they have to do something.
I mean, why would they send so many? I mean, what that one article say, like 30,000?
Yeah.
Why so many for one beast?
Well, that would be the thing is maybe if you've got, all these people tromping through the woods, you're now making people look, you're basically telling people, look, we're doing everything we can. We got your best interest in heart. Don't riot. No French Revolution yet. We're going to help you out. Yeah. Look at how many people we've sent to tromp through your woods, and we're going to shoot everything that moves. And then you kill a wolf. You taxiderm it. Oh, but where's the body later? Oh, well, it rotted. It wasn't done the right way. Oh, what? That other guy got another wolf? Oh, well, that's rotted too. Now go bury it somewhere. Oh, it's the Marquis's cousin, third cousin over. We'll bury it over there. Oh, wait, no, it's demolished.
Now, wouldn't that be interesting if we were able to find out? I know landmarks and things have obviously changed a whole hell of a lot since then, but wouldn't it be interesting to be an archaeologist or whatnot and actually stumble across that and not know exactly? I mean, it'd be fossilized bones and shit, whatever, but you could get something off of that, I would imagine. If you knew about the area to look in.
And that's the thing. I mean, now we got statues, we got plaques, we got memorials, we got everything up there in the countryside. So maybe if we're talking like an old friend of ours, well, you know what? Now they need a tourist attraction.
Oh, no.
Now you're putting up statues. You're taking that little legend, you're blowing it up to get tourism to come into your little towns. Mm-hmm.
God damn it. Nope. Enough.
My 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Everything.
Well, my 2 cents on the matter is the fact that something was there. It was seen by so many people. So was it an abnormally large wolf?
I would say it would be, my opinion.
because we have deaths. We have confirmed deaths. We have
Absolutely.
confirmed sightings. And these are not just villagers. These are villagers, Kingsguard, military men. These are chaplains. These are bishops. These are nobility.
Prominent people, yes. But I would definitely say it an overly large wolf.
But
misidentified.
Either way you cut it, the Beast of Gevaudan has always been one of my favorites, along with Mothman. Yes, I understand. Bigfoot, everyone thinks Bigfoot's my number one cryptid. Nope, it goes Mothman, Beast of Gevaudan. Bigfoot's the top 10.
Don't even ask me what mine are, because I don't really have a list. But yeah,
I'll tell you what's not on the list of my favorites. Dogmen.
Oh yeah, no Dogman. Just hearing from you about Dogman and all that. That's just enough to say hell no.
So, any closing words there, Mr. King? Since it's good to be back, season 4.
Oh, not on this subject. Hell no. Let's just pass it on by. let's get to next week and call it good. Tammy says she loves Mothman. Right?
Mothman is pretty damn awesome.
Mm-mm.
So next week, we're still going international. Don't have a topic yet. It's kind of an interesting weekend. I know we picked up some new subscribers. We did an outdoor fun festival yesterday. We picked up some new people. We've met some people that were actually fans of the show. Who knew?
Damn, dude, I wish I would have been there, but sorry.
That's all right. We'll get you next time.
I had to go pick up the wife. Should have left her on the boat.
Yeah, but you love having her home.
Sure. Anyway.
On that note, everybody, we are going to go ahead and we're going to get out of here. We will see you next Sunday, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Mr. James, Mr. King is going to give us the outro.
Outro. I love the outro. Come on. Let's keep your cryptids close and tight and hug them all night long.
On that note, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you later.
Good night.